see anyone else joining at the moment.
Let's start.
Yeah, it will begin. So, good evening, everybody. My name is Miss Aldridge. I'm the new teacher for Year 4. I'm joined by lovely Mrs. Curtis and Miss Tongue, which you'll all be familiar with. I've been sort of teaching for 8 years around London and in Sussex, and I'm really happy to be joining this school at this time. I've just finished my master's, and so I'm really looking forward to getting back into full-time teaching, and the kids have been really welcoming in the school so far. But that's just to give you a bit of background about me, and I look forward to getting to know you all a bit across the year, because I'll be with the children now until the end of Year 4. And I sort of see our classroom as a collaborative space, so with all the children and staff here, but also with you at home, supporting their learning and supporting what we're doing in school. So I look forward to working with all of you. So this is our autumn class meeting to tell you a bit about what we've been doing and what we will be doing up until Christmas. Just to let you all know, this is a webinar format, so we can't see you and you can't see each other. If you have got questions, please type them in the question and answers box, and we will do our best to answer them at the end. So this is what we have been doing in autumn too. Obviously, Mrs. Kingsley has done sort of half of this, and I'm picking up from where she left off. So in maths, the children have been looking at length and perimeter, and with me, they've just started on multiplication and division. We've been timesing and dividing by 10 and 100. We're going to ramp up the pace next week and start looking at the 3, 6s and 9 times tables. That is something that obviously in Year 4 we always ask if you could support us at home with learning times tables, as the children will be having their times table test, sort of a government test, in the summer term, spring summer term in Year 4, where they test their times tables. So anything you can do at home would be really grateful. In English, they've been looking at biographies. Next week, we're going to be starting non-chronological reports. Today, they've been writing some instructions, some persuasive writing, and some list poetry as well. We would ask you in English to carry on. They get weekly handwriting. If you could please keep going with the weekly handwriting. I know with sort of lockdown before, we've got children at different stages. I think they're all sort of catching up and are really happy to be back in school. But obviously we would ask if there's anything you can do to help at home, just to support them in that way. That would be great. Geography, the children have been learning about the water cycle. So we have been sort of learning about when it rains, what happens when the water evaporates. We've also been looking at Thames water, so bringing it close to home and how the water gets into our houses. Science, we've been looking at electricity and circuits, which we're still doing this week. And I'm sure they had a lot of fun the other day seeing what conducts electricity and what doesn't, what can light up their light bulb and what doesn't. So we'll be continuing with that up until Christmas. Art and DT, we've slightly changed about a little bit. So we were going to design and build a Christmas decoration. We've sort of moved that to RE, which I'll explain in a bit. But at the moment in DT, they are learning how to sew, and they are making juggling balls. Okay, so hopefully you'll be getting some juggling balls that won't split home at Christmas time. That's if we can get round everybody sewing. Computing, we've been learning about online safety. You may have had some of the children come home and mention it, because there's it's always sort of a big issue with them looking at social media. We looked at sort of what age you have to be to download it independently without an adult looking over you, and they were all kind of shocked at different ages. Yeah, it's always a topic that children feel passionate about. So it's just to remind them about what we've spoken about in school, being safe online, not sharing your passwords, not putting up pictures with your school uniform in, for example, just to reiterate it at home. In French, we've been learning the words for the body and how to say different parts of the body, and if something hurts. We'll be carrying on with that up until Christmas. PSHE, we're doing health and well-being, ourselves, growing and changing and keeping safe. I think you got a text from Mrs. Kingsky a couple of weeks ago when we tackled the subject of how our bodies change. And you got a text from me today because we were looking at medicines and how to take medicine safely, where you get legal medicine from. RE, we're looking at is peace, the most important message of Christmas. We've actually sort of completed all our RE learning for this term. So for the next 2 weeks, we're carrying on with this, but they're sort of making peaceful Christmas decorations. So hopefully you'll be getting that home towards Christmas as well. And then in PE, they've been doing gymnastics. I'm going to pass you over now to Mrs. Curtis to look at our... Oh, sorry, reading diaries. There you go, jumping ahead.
As you know, the children all bring home a reading diary, and we do expect them to read at home daily, but that doesn't mean you need to sit and actually listen to them. They're more than capable, they're all free readers, they're more than capable of reading on their own, filling out their own diaries, and perhaps just once a week you just give it a little check to just see if they've been doing that, if they've been reading, if they've been filling out their diary, because I do put little notes. When they bring them in on Friday, I always send home their diary with a little note saying great reading or well done or you need to read more. So that'd be really helpful if you could just keep a check on their diary as well, just to make sure they're just doing that few pages a night reading. And online, our classroom, you really know how to use this because we had to use it a lot in lockdown. So on there each week there'll be the spellings and the handwriting, which is compulsory homework. But that doesn't mean it needs to be done online. Each child has got a book. Some of them prefer the paper copy and they like to come in and show us how nice their handwriting is. So that is compulsory homework that does need to be done every day because we're having a big push on handwriting this time to try and see if we can get them all to a pen licence. And obviously their spellings. We expect at least 8 out of 10 right. If they don't get that, say 3 or 4 consecutive weeks, then I will move them about on different levels. So don't be surprised if they're not learning them at home, if they come home and they've gone down a level.
I will also say with Google Classroom, they have this sort of homepage where they can type messages to each other because that's where the teacher can see it. Some pupils have been using it to email each other. Just remind them they shouldn't be using the Google Classroom for that unless it's in a computing lesson, just so that we can be aware of what's going on and to see what's being said to each other and make sure everything is okay on there.
So this one is just a few little new things that are going on in school. We're having a big focus on health and well-being and self-control and making healthy choices. So the children are now doing the Daily Mould daily at break time. They run around the playgrounds. We have great fun. We put all the cones out and the staff even join in as well. And they just run and run and run until we think they've run enough really. And then they go and get their fruit and then they can start playing. But at first they're a bit reluctant, but they're getting into it now. It's it's a good way of keeping them fit and getting fitter than they were. And also we're having a bit of a push on them making healthy choices. So I don't know how many of your children have packed lunch, but if they do come in with anything that shouldn't be in there, you will get like little slips home to let you know, please don't send your children in with chocolate and that sort of thing. But I must say, on the whole, I go into the All Daily and their lunch boxes are excellent. I don't really have that much of a problem with chocolate and that anymore. And also, as you know, in school we do restorative justice to sort out any problems between children. So we will always speak to both sides, always listen to both sides. And there's a lot of questioning going on, a lot of listening. And we're getting to the point now where some of the older children are able to question each other and sort out their own problems. With us looking in, obviously, because we don't want it to turn into like a free-for-all, but they're getting really good at that. We sort of go over and say, well, come on, you speak to them, what happened? Let them know how you're feeling. Don't let us do all the talking for you. And that seems to be going really well.
So check your Twitter because we'll be posting photos of our learning daily. Try and keep a check on it because some of the fantastic things that we'll be doing are going to be put onto the Twitter for you to actually see. So you'll be seeing some of the children's work as and when they're doing it. So it's really good to just keep an eye on that.
Yeah. almost like a live feed, because it's sort of uploaded during the day as we go. This is just a note about Christmas this year. So obviously we're not allowed to do sort of our normal Christmas shows, Christmas activities, that kind of thing. What we are doing is each class has prepared a song. I'm sure you've heard a rendition of it at home already. But we are going to be filming that on Friday, and then there's more details to follow, but it will somehow be available for you to see. Some of the children were a bit confused, thinking they had to bring in costumes. That's not happening in year 4. It may be happening in other year groups. I'm not sure. I think year 6 had something planned, or year 5. But for year 4, we've got all the costumes here. We're sort of going to tell the Christmas story as we sing, so they don't need to worry about that. So that's on Friday, they'll be filming this. But the following Friday, I think it's the 10th or the 11th, yeah. I think, is the Christmas jumper day. So then they would need to bring a Christmas jumper in if they have one, or they can decorate a normal jumper. So thank you very much for joining our webinar today. We'll just wait, sort of 30 seconds to a minute to see if anybody's got any questions. There should be a panel sort of at the bottom to the side where it says Q&A, and you can type something in there if you would like to ask us anything. But of course, we're always sort of around. I'll be on the gate most days, apart from Tuesdays at the start of the day. Obviously, you'll get some notices about all the building work that's going to happen in the playground. So if you don't see me at the gate, you can always send me an email, give me a call, and I can try and help you in whichever way I can. Okay, so we'll just wait for a little bit. I don't think there's any questions, so I'm going to end the meeting. Thank you very much for coming, and I look forward to meeting you, getting to know you across the year. And thank you both for joining me.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.